What would you think if I told you that you could do something that only took you about 10 seconds and it was free? It can help you with your mood, decrease stress, help you sleep, calm your nervous system, help you regulate, decrease depression, and increase your resilience. There's research that supports that what I'm going to talk about today, this really easy, simple tool, can help you with all of these things. Right? Calming your nervous system alone is such gold when it comes to ADHD. We want every tool that's going to help us do that. So let's dive in. My name's Danae. I'm an occupational therapist and executive functioning coach. I'm here to help you make life easier if you have ADHD. What we're going to talk about today is gratitude practice. You've probably heard about this, and a lot of times this kind of gets touted as like a mental health cure-all. And there are some real barriers when it comes to ADHD and doing this regularly. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about gratitude practice, what it can look like, why it can be a little hard to do, what we can do about that. So traditional gratitude practice sometimes has some barriers with ADHD. Some of that can get in our way when it comes to actually putting this into practice and getting some of the benefits that I talked about. We're not wired for kind of savoring and thinking about what's going well. Our brains tend to default to scanning for danger and scanning for problems. We're wired kind of more for survival. And especially with ADHD, many of us have these negative experiences where we really feel even more of a need to scan for problems and if we're doing this wrong and if we're okay in the situations. Doing this isn't really our default. And that's okay because we can learn how to do this and get better at doing this in a way that works for our brain. So what gets in our way? Well, one of the things that gets in our way is that we can be kind of perfectionistic about this and feel like it has to happen every single day in a certain way. And maybe we forget about it with ADHD. It's out of sight, out of mind. It seems like a great idea, but we don't actually end up putting it into practice. We might feel pressure to make it like really profound and deep, and everything we identify has to be really heavy and life-changing. And so there's a lot of barriers we might experience when we want to look at putting this into practice. So how can we work with our brains, do this in a way that fits for ADHD and actually get some traction? One of the things we can do is make our gratitude practice present. And we can do that with savoring. Let's say I am grateful for this cup of coffee, right? Savoring is like, I'm going to really notice, really get into this moment of like why I like this, the sensory experience of this, the smell of it, the taste of it, the feel of it. Like I am going to just take more time to focus on this thing and be grateful in this moment and just enjoy it and tune into it. It's kind of like a mindfulness practice too. We're looking at the experience of this and just stretching it out a little bit. It's not going to be stretched out for 20 minutes, right? Like maybe I'm going like 20 seconds more time into being grateful for this and really noticing why and what that feels like. That savoring is kind of like an in the moment practice. Sometimes that works better for our brains with ADHD, doing it right now in the moment and getting better at stretching out that experience of really being grateful and enjoying something through savoring. We're skipping the list and we're just saying, hey, right now, I'm grateful for this thing and let me notice it a little bit more. Another way we can make gratitude practice a little bit more accessible for us is by saying it out loud. Many people with ADHD do better when they can process something verbally or even like kinesthetically, like through doing. Sometimes writing a list isn't always what we want to do. The need to be able to verbally process things, to be able to hear ourselves and say it out loud. Maybe the need to be able to do something and process it. So lean into that if you have ADHD. Let that be how you practice gratitude, saying it out loud. You could make a voice note, call a friend, tell your dog, say it to yourself. It doesn't matter, but allow yourself to approach it differently if the list is just kind of has some friction for you and you don't really love the idea of making a list. Another barrier for us sometimes is just remembering to do this. And so we can do that by creating reminders that are outside of us. When we're just relying on ourselves to remember and carry that around, it may or may not happen. If it matters to you, you want to try to do this, make the cues for this outside of yourself. Maybe it's a sticky note. Maybe it's an alarm. Maybe it's having a challenge with a friend and say, I'm going to text you one thing I'm grateful for every day this week. Create some outside structure so you're not having to carry this around and remember it. One way that I've found to incorporate gratitude that works for me, it kind of helps with insomnia, is sometimes when I struggle to go to sleep, I will do a little mental practice of gratitude. And I think it works because it helps my brain engage in something. Like sometimes your brain's just not ready to shut off. It helps to engage in something, but it's not a thought that elevates my nervous system. It's a thought that brings it down. It calms our nervous system. So even that practice of kind of listing some things out when I'm struggling to sleep, if I do it early enough, actually puts me to sleep. I don't know if that means I'm not very grateful, but it does help me calm down enough to fall asleep. And of course, it doesn't work if I'm already kind of elevated and my brain's already going. It's not going to work. But there's a little sweet spot that I can do that at nighttime and help myself kind of conk out. So maybe try that as a practical way to incorporate this gratitude practice in an everyday, easy to do way. But the last idea for gratitude practice is something that I already ask people to do. When I work with people with coaching, I ask them to do a to-do list. Now, a to-do list is like a to-do list of things that you actually got done. And in a sense, this is a bit of a gratitude practice. You are being grateful for you, what you got done, what you accomplished, how you used your time. You're not spending that time criticizing what didn't happen. You're just appreciating whatever it is that you accomplished that day. So this is another way that you can do a gratitude practice that maybe looks a little different than the traditional practice, but is doing the same thing. And it's even doing other things. It might be helping you judge your time and helping you get more flexible with your thinking. This is another kind of easy, practical way that you can put this into action. So a closing thought here. This is not about changing your feelings, right? You don't have to feel grateful. This is a thought exercise. And our feelings eventually follow our thoughts. They follow these thoughts we're practicing. So, at first it's maybe hard for you to do. That's okay. Your feelings eventually catch up. You get stronger with doing this. It gets easier to do like anything else you practice. There are benefits to practicing gratitude. It can look different if you have ADHD. You can try ways that fit your brain, are a little easier for you to execute, and experiment with what works for you and try to incorporate this into some of your days because it really can have a great impact for kind of a relatively low investment. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.